Royals baseball is presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors. The Royals shut out the Indians last night 2-0. Is that a win that'll get them going? We'll find out. It's game 3 of 4 tonight from Cleveland. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the ballpark with Rex Hudler. I'm Ryan Lefevre. Not only did the Royals win last night, they won a very Royals-like win, but you noticed something beyond the numbers.
There's no question about it. In Game 1, we talked about regaining the swagger. That championship, I got confidence. And it all starts from the mound. We didn't see it in Game 1, but we did last night. And now Chris Medlin, after that start, he set the table. The rest of the bullpen shut them out. Time for Duffy. Pass that competitive baton on and keep it going. Starting pitching is where the swagger begins.
So we'll see if that's the win that gets the Royals going, and we'll see if this is the pitcher that gets Eric Hosmer going. Danny Salazar pitches for the Indians. Eric Hosmer, we hope, we're predicting, will be our most trusted player, brought to you by the most trusted brand, Honda.
Well, he hadn't homered since the middle of August, and he's overdue for that. But you know what, though? Just getting some hits off a guy he's comfortable with, this could be the remedy. And we're going to show you some highlights. This is what we want to see. Popo. Look at that at the K. That ball went way out. I maybe took a drink. There it is again here at the J. Going to the opposite field for Hosmer is what he's missing. When a guy's struggling, he tries to pull. There's no success. Wait a tick longer and let that bat fly, because it's a beauty when it does.
For the Royals, it'll be Danny Duffy on the mound. So, what does the shutout mean for tonight? Well, Joel and Monty will talk about what shutouts have meant for the Royals this year.
August 10th, Johnny Cueto throwing that shutout. Yes, the Royals need to get him going, but that was big because it had been their last shutout until last night. And then they got very hot and went on a roll. Welcome back to Progressive Field. Joel Goldberg, Royals Hall of Famer Jeff Montgomery down by the visitors' dugout. And the Royals have had shutouts in every month but April. They had 3 of them in May and then 1 in each of the months. Hi, Salvi, with a bubble. Hola, amigos. Hola. Hola, amigos. There you go. He's made appearances on the pregame where he said, hi, amigos. And now we have Hola, amigos. And the bubble. Let's not burst it, right? The shutouts, as we see in our Academy Sports and Outdoor Leaderboard, have really sparked runs that they have gone on.
Well, exactly. Sometimes a really good pitching performance can be contagious. We've seen it happen a number of times here. The numbers bear it out for the Royals this season. Let's hope that Chris Medlin's shutout last night will be exactly what this rotation is looking for.
Medlin, Madsen, Davis, and Holland were able to blank the opposition, Cleveland, last night. Now Danny Duffy, and this just moments ago walking in with Salvi. We know what happened after that. Adios, amigos. Rex and Ryan are next.
You Play is back to schools across Missouri, so play it forward with the Missouri Lottery. And by your Kansas City Chevy dealers, visit your local Chevy dealers today for great prices on all the new 2015 vehicles. Royals lead is back to 10. Detroit beat Minnesota last night, and so the Royals' magic number to clinch the Central is now down to 9 games. Toronto also lost, so the Royals' magic number for the top seed in the American League during the playoffs is down to 16. Royals didn't get a lot of offense last night, winning 2-0. Ned Yost staying with the same lineup for the first 3 games of the series. And how about Alex Gordon? He has come back similar to the way Eric Hosmer came back after missing time late in the season last year, and Alex is hitting .341 since coming back from the disabled list.
Yeah, you know, he's so much more quiet with his body, but he's using the opposite field, and he's also pulling a couple out of the ballpark. He looks really quiet up there at the plate and using his hands, trusting them well.
And the Royals will be facing a similar pitcher tonight that they face in Game 1. Danny Salazar. Good stuff. A lot of strikeouts.
That's right. Now he's a power pitcher, but look at that .227 average against. That's a really good mark. That's 8th best in the American League. You know, he's also can strike them out like you said, but he'll give up the long ball. He's given up 14 home runs to left-handed bats and 8 to right-handed bats, 22 in total. So we'll have to see how he can stay out of the middle of the plate, but the Royals are hoping the exact opposite, that fastball is right out over the middle.
Defensively for the Indians, they've had a much better defensive season this year than last year, although they didn't read a pop-up last night, and that led to one of the Royals' 2 runs.
That twilight can be dangerous for all teams and anybody, but it really worked out well last night. But we'll see how Salazar can do. And the Royals, they really don't rely on that running game like they have the last couple of seasons. So a runner at first base is a runner in scoring position, and that's what they got to do to beat him. Get some big hits with runners out there.
Umpiring crew tonight is lined up with the crew chief Jeff Nelson at second base. Ben May, who is a minor league call-up umpire, he'll call the balls and strikes. Chris Guccione is at first, and Corey Blazer is at third. Alex Gordon 4 for 9 in this series with a home run. He homered on the first pitch of the series on Monday night, and he has driven in 2.
Had a nice season this year. His average is up to 288. That's good because he's going to the opposite field a lot. Salazar, dominant with his fastball, but he'll also go to his secondary pitches.
One ball, one strike. Royals are seeing Danny Salazar for the 8th time, and they've done pretty well against him. His career numbers are not great against KC. We showed you at the top of the broadcast how much Eric Hosmer has worn him out. And it's not just Hosmer. Salazar's made 7 starts in his career against the Royals, and only one of those was a quality start. Good changeup. So he opens his outing with a strikeout of Alex Gordon.
Yeah, that's his signature pitch there, especially when he's trying to finish guys off. That changeup combination, it has an actual downward action like a split finger. You see how the bottom falls out. You want to get him before he gets you ahead, and then he'll finish you off with that pitch. His fastball is good. He'll range anywhere from 93 to 95 now. However, last time Salazar faced the Kansas City Royals was in May, and he was throwing 98, so he's not quite as strong velocity wise, but he's in the low 90s, maybe just a 95. Fastball changeup. The changeup is a go-to pitch for him. He's a fastball combo guy, slider, occasional curves. Royals love the fastball. They pound that fastball. They're good at it. Salazar knows it. He likes to go soft as early as he can in the count.
Out to Kipnis at second base. 2 down.
Batting third for the Royals, number 8, the center fielder, Lorenzo.
And now Lorenzo Cain with 2 down. We remind you, as you enjoy a cold one, to look forward to Miller Time later in tonight's game, brought to you by Miller Lite. Cain well over 300 with a career high 16 home runs, career highs in several categories this year. He has been mostly quiet so far in this series, and Salazar gets him to jump on the first pitch, and Almonte comes in center field. So a 9-pitch first inning for Salazar, and Danny Duffy would like to have an efficient night tonight, pitch deeper into the game. He'll take the mound with no score. Clemente's legacy. A Hall of Famer, a 15-time All-Star who died in a plane crash on New Year's Eve 1972 while attempting to deliver supplies to earthquake victims in Nicaragua. And so each team has a Roberto Clemente Award nominee. Alex Gordon for the Royals, and for Terry Francona, it's the pitcher from Monday night, Carlos Carrasco. And here is his lineup tonight. Two completely different games for his offense. They scored 8 runs on 12 hits with 2 home runs in game 1, and then the Royals shut down Francona's offense last night 2-0.
That's right. Only 2 lefties in his lineup, Kipnis and Brantley. As Duffy has really dealt against those left-handed bats this year. It's gotten better. He started off a little bit rough this season, but he's really been nailing them. So the right-handed lineups usually are all stacked against the lefty.
Kia puts us in the driver's seat where Danny Duffy has been in his last 4 starts against Cleveland. Low ERA, very good opponent's batting average, and he comes out tonight with 3 consecutive strikes. His start on Friday at Baltimore, remember, he walked the first hitter, Nolan Reimold, on 4 straight pitches, which were all right where he wanted them, down and in the strike zone. He didn't get the calls from the home plate umpire that night, and it was the beginning of Danny pitching well but not being able to pitch deep into the game because his pitch count caught up with him.
Yeah, he walked those first 2 hitters, but he struck out 8. That's a season high for him. And Duffy has the stuff. There's no question about it. But right now, what he's doing against Kipnis was good. He's getting ahead. He's got to be able to get ahead and finish guys off. Keep that pitch count down if he can. And that means staying down in the zone and using the defense.
It's not like he made contact. What about the foul tip?
I heard a little ticky two or something up there. I don't know what that was. Maybe not.
In the air to Alex Gordon. 1 out. Here are the Royals defensively, presented by Ford.
Mike Moustakas we have highlighted for a reason. He's saved 7 runs on defense this year. That's really good. He's a very special player to his left and to his right. Coming in, he's as good as any there is. He's got a great arm, and he's really taking pride in his third base play.
He has gone from -2 in defensive run saves from last year to +7. Now Francisco Lindor, and the switch hitter takes outside. This is an impressive young player, Francisco Lindor, in his rookie season, hitting .311, 3 hits in this series, a couple of extra base hits, a couple of walks, and that ball is crushed to left field. Home run number 9. So he's a shortstop. He's not very big, but he can swing a big bat, and Cleveland takes a 1-0 lead.
Yeah, Lindor, and he's hitting .330 off of southpaws this year. That's his 2nd homer against a lefty. He was sitting there waiting for it. 15th home run given up to a right-handed bat from Duffy. Solo shots aren't going to hurt his bat, but you know that's going to tell the rest of his teammates there in the Cleveland Indians, hey, look, you know, he can be taken deep. They know it, but he's going to have to keep that ball down and in on the corners.
And now Brantley hits it hard up the right field line, and that ball is down, just foul.
Yeah, what's impressive about Brantley is he's hitting .318 overall in the season, but he's hitting .301 against lefties. And for Duffy, he's hitting .357 off of Danny Duffy. We talked about Danny, how well he's done against those lefties since the All-Star break. They're just hitting .159. But Brantley, he's just a good hitter against anybody.
Good breaking ball for a strike, and it's 0-2. Duffy was 0-2 with Kipnis, and then the count went to 3-2 before Kipnis flied out. Let's see if Duffy can take care of Brantley sooner than that. We'll go with a breaking ball, and 1 ball, 2 strikes. Two and 2.
Danny Duffy focusing on that lower part of the zone so far. His first appearance against Kipnis, and Kipnis, he got the ball up as the at bat went on, but his first several pitches were down, down, down. He's really trying to focus on keeping it down there, so they won't foul those pitches off or hit him out of the park. Beauty.
2 down as Duffy gets his first strikeout. Danny gets Carlos Santana. 1 hit with 3 walks for Santana in this series. And downstairs again, 1 ball and no strikes.
Duffy's fastball is good, and most hitters know it. You got to use that pitch to set up the other ones to make them look good. Nice little slurry curveball type combination, and a good changeup. There's a change there. Looks like he's going to really need to use those secondary pitches. His fastball is averaging 93, but he'll top 96. We'll see. But he's averaging around 93, 94 miles an hour.
Broke his bat in half and fouls it into the crowd. That split right down the middle. Is that from just gripping the bat wrong?
No, that's just a little bit of jam sandwich there, but that's an ash bat. Ash bats, they'll split down the middle like that. Maple, they'll snap in half more often. And it was just a pitch on his hands. Duffy wants to stay in there on righties. That sets up the changeup and the breaking balls on the outer half of that dish.
Good pitch over the inside, 2-2. Got him to chase a pitch down. That was the good news. The bad news is he grounds it into center field for a 2-out single. It looked like a pitch out of the strike zone.
Yeah, it was really what Duffy wanted, I think. He keep it out of the middle. Santana's a better right-handed hitter than he is left this year. Anyway. He's hit 260 from the right side. Left side he's only hit 217, but he just stayed in the middle of the field here. It's a good inside out swing. Wasn't trying to pull him like he did that jam shot when he broke his bat. Indians hitting 262 overall against Southpaws this year with 34 homers. But their record is just 19-29 off of lefties. So if there is a little glimmer of hope for Duffy, there it is.
One and one on Yan Gomes. He had a big hit in the Indians win on Monday night. Late in the game, hit a 2-run double against Kelvin Herrera as the Indians pulled away and won 8-3. Good swing and fouls it straight back. It's been so much fun this year watching Paulo Orlando play and the excitement he has created not only in Kansas City but back in Brazil. Yan Gomes was the first native Brazilian to get to the big leagues. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Yan Gomes, Andre Rienzo, and then Paulo Orlando.
It's pretty impressive. Baseball's growing. Different parts of the world, they're playing the grand game.
Very high to left field. And Alex is there. He handles 2 fly balls for Duffy in the first inning. It is a long inning, 24 pitches. Lindor homers, and Cleveland leads 1-0. Next Wednesday, students can mingle with friends and enjoy food and drink specials exclusively for you while listening to live local music from local Kansas City bands. Me Like Bees will be performing a week from tonight. Get your tickets now for just $8 at the box office or at Royals.com/student night. So here's Hosmer against Danny Salazar. Hosmer hits .467 against this pitcher with a couple of home runs. Both of those home runs were hit to the opposite field, and he looked like he was taking an opposite field swing there. Both of those home runs have been this season against Salazar.
Well, when you see you've had some success off a guy, it gives you automatic confidence coming in. That's Haas's problem right now. Any hitter, really, for that matter, when you're struggling a little bit, you know, and you hadn't hit a home run since August 14th, your natural tendency is to pull your way out of it. Doesn't work. He knows that. He wants to get going with a couple of base hits out to left field and get that swing right and be patient and let that ball travel towards the catcher's glove. A little easier said than done, but Haas, he's been able to make those adjustments.
Full count.
Haas watches film as most of the other hitters all do. They watch films of themselves and their good swings, and they watch the opposing pitcher. That's part of their preparation work every day. Take the walk.
Batting fifth for Kansas City, the designated hitter, number 25, Kendrys Morales.
And a man on for Kendrys Morales. And after being so hot for about a month, he has cooled off over the past 3 games, just 1 hit. Although in game 1 of this series, he came very close to driving in a couple of runs with the bases loaded. Lindor made a nice play at shortstop. he's taking a shot at left field. No balls, 1 strike.
That's the right approach. Dale Swain told me preparation is luck running into success. You have to work hard for success. It doesn't just show up. He's talking about watching film and studying videos, and Morales does a lot of that himself.
Another shot the other way, 0-2. With nobody on, Morales has much less impressive numbers than when men are on. That's why he has 101 RBIs. Big spike in numbers with men on base. 3 pitches, and Salazar strikes out his second.
Slider moving down. Salazar is going to use fastballs early like he did on Morales, and then secondary pitches to finish you off. But you know, we talk about those numbers with runners on with Morales. Boy, it's good they're not reversed. He hits with nobody on compared to with them on. That's what he's paid for, to drive them in. So he's doing his job.
Mike Moustakas had a very interesting at-bat last night. For a moment, he thought he had popped out with 2 down and the inning was over, but Yan Gomes lost the pop-up in the sky. Moustakas got another strike. He turned it into a double and then scored the first run of the game. Out in front, 1 ball, 1 strike.
I don't know what the percentage is exactly, but whenever that usually happens, and a guy, somebody drops the ball when it was a routine out, usually he gets back in there and gets a big hit, and it turned out to be a big hit for Moose. Morales knocked him in.
Two and 1. Both RBIs last night for the Royals came with 2 outs. They've been one of the best in baseball with 2 outs. Is he able to check? No. Corey Blazer says that was a swing. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
You know, the word's out on the Royals offense. There's no question about it. They're a fastball hitting team, aggressive, and if you know that and you're the opponents, you're going to throw as many secondary pitches as you can over the plate. That's what the Royals have been seeing last several weeks.
Fastball at 95. 2 down.
For Kansas City, hitting 7, number 13.
He blew this one right by Moose. Moose was thinking secondary, obviously. Way behind it.
So Hosmer with that leadoff walk is still standing at first with 2 down. Salvador Perez, who's had an outstanding road trip through Baltimore and Cleveland. He has hit .421 in the 2 series with 5 RBIs. Drove in a run with 2 outs last night.
Yeah, man, he's been as good as Morales with 2 outs.
Diving play at third. Mike Aviles throws from his knee out at first base. Ned Yost says hang on, the Royals want to take a look at it, but how about what Aviles got behind that throw from that distance? And after a quick look, the Royals agree with first base umpire Chris Guccione that Perez was out.
Aviles popped up last night in the 9th inning on the bunt, redeems himself right here with a nice play.
A home run off of Danny Duffy in the first inning. Cleveland leads 1-0. Chris Johnson, who is serving as the Indians DH tonight, takes strike one. Out to Moustakas. Got caught in between hops, but still made it look easy. One down. Time now for you to tweet your strongest fan photo. Use hashtag KC Data Strong Fan. You just might see yourself in an upcoming broadcast. Brought to you by T-Mobile. Hashtag KC Data Strong Fan. Still a beautiful night. Maybe time for a light jacket. But 75 perfect degrees at first pitch. And again, no wind at all.
I tell you, this has been great baseball weather here in Cleveland. Unbelievable. Usually the wind is always blowing here.
2-0 on Jerry Sands. Sands came on late last night and took over at first base. Right off of home plate umpire Ben May's mask.
You know, I saw Ben May and the umpires walking in today, and I said, "Who's got the dish?" And the young rookie says, "I do." And I go, "We haven't seen. Are there any hard throwers tonight?" "Oh yeah, both of them are hard throwers. Good luck getting out of the way of them foul tips." I know you have to have quick reaction to do that, but I haven't seen too many umpires that can duck those pitches. He laughed.
There you go, right away in the second inning.
There you go. Those guys that throw hard up in that zone there, you know, they just get a little ticky too. The hitter does. Those are dangerous.
Two and two. Danny Duffy had a 24 pitch first inning. And this is the 6th game of the road trip. And in each of the first 6 games, the Royals starter has gone at least 20 pitches in the first inning. Duffy has a strikeout, his second. 2 up, 2 down. And the opponent has scored in the first inning in 4 of the 6 games.
Well, you get just swinging at that pitch on Duffy, you're in trouble. That's way out of the zone. Sands, you know, he's a guy that's trying to impress Francona, though, showing that he can hit some lefties.
Abraham Almonte takes down and in, ball one. Hitless so far in the series. That'll be backing out of play.
You know, I'm a little bit surprised to see Ryan Rayburn not in there. That's a right-handed bat that usually is always in there against the lefty. And all indication is he's healthy. He's not in there. Rayburn's 3 for 13 with a homer off of Duffy in his career.
Two and one. Now 3 balls, 1 strike. Mike Aviles is on deck. Full count. Almonte is hitless in the series. He has played in center field all 3 games.
This kid has a great opportunity. It's his job the rest of the season. He's going to have to do something with his bat. He just did there.
Took a wide turn after Alex juggled it for a moment in left field. The runner at first with 2 down. And now Mike Aviles made a very impressive play for the final out of the top of the second inning. deep up the line at third base, and from a knee threw it all the way across the diamond. I mean, that's a long throw, even if you have both your feet underneath you, let alone 1 foot and 1 knee.
And when he threw it underhand like that, I'm thinking, man, that ball's going to go up the line. It was perfect. Salvi off the bat thought he had a single, maybe more. 1 knee. That's just a sidearm flip over there. And Santana was able to hold on. Almonte, he's 5 for 5 in steals this year. Duffy keeping him close with his step-off move.
Vilas is late on a fastball. It's the first time that Avilas has been in the starting lineup in this series. Danny Duffy is concerned that Almonte might take off. There's a snap throw. Slide step. And the pitch got away from him. 1 ball, 1 strike. Like a case there where Duffy was more concerned with Almonte at first base than Avilas at the plate.
He better not worry about that runner. Let Salvi take care of that. Salvi's thrown out 27% of runners this year. That's a good mark.
And now 2-1.
Avilas 3 for 12 in his career off of Duffy.
Change up. It was up. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Still had him out in front. You could see Avilas. He was way ahead of that, looking for that heater the whole way.
Out of play, still 2-2.
Yeah, you know, this is the time of night where that twilight can affect fly balls. So infielders got to be on their toes, corner guys to let the catchers know. We saw what happened last night. Whenever the sun gets down, the sky gets the same color as the ball. So it's going to easily be lost.
And it was about this time last night when that happened to Yan Gomes. It was the 2nd inning. And that pop-up from Mike Moustakas. Gomes never saw it. We weren't sure Josh Tomlin saw it. And the ball dropped. Allowed Mike Moustakas to get another pitch. 3-2. So 2 outs. Duffy works full counts with Almonte, who singled, and Avilas, who reaches with a walk. And Dave Island's going to go out and have a chat before Jason Kipnis comes to the plate.
Duffy's last 3 starts, he's been challenging guys with his fastball. Now, just because Lindor hit it out doesn't mean he should stay away from that fastball. He's still got to stay out there and convict it. I'm a little surprised he didn't throw a 3-2 there to Avilas. But unfortunately, there's that pitch count again. That's what he wanted to stay away from. And Dave Island said, come on, man, you got 2 outs. Let's get ahead and finish them off.
And you have to give the Indians some credit. They have the 2nd most walks in the league, so that's their game. They're a patient team. They haven't had a big offensive year, not nearly as big as they had hoped, but they are a team that will take their share of walks. And now they've got 2 on with 2 out for Kipnis. And that's outside for ball 1. Kipnis flied to left in the first inning.
Tribe just hitting .245 with runners in scoring position as a team.
Curveball drops in for a strike. Royals are one of the best in baseball in this situation. The Indians are one of the worst, and Kipnis has struggled with 2 outs and runners in scoring position. Changeup. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
That's a nice pitch away. Keep it out there.
Up the middle and into center field on a 1-2 pitch. Almonte scores. Aviles goes to third. And Kipnis and the Indians, they don't come through very often in this situation. Kipnis drives in his 48th on pitch number 48. And the Indians lead 2-0.
Okay, he went soft again, and he tried the same spot. And Kipnis, he was waiting for it with 2 strikes. He just reached out. The ball was 3 or 4 inches off the outside part of the plate, but he's able to guide it up the middle and score Almonte.
And again, staying away from his fastball. And now first and third for Lindor, and he homered deep into the left field bleachers first time up, and now trying to surprise the Royals defense with a bunt, but he didn't like the pitch.
You know, Danny Duffy, he knows that he needs to pitch deeper in games, and he knew that was one of his big assignments coming into this game. And since, using the fastball, I was getting a lot of strikeouts.
In the dirt, Kipnis will go to second base.
He's getting a lot of strikeouts, but he wants to limit the pitch count, so maybe he's thinking off speed in this game. Him and Salvi going with more off speed, thinking that they'll get him out front and roll over some ground balls, but he's got to stay on his plan. His plan is good. His fastball is an exceptional pitch. And he's going with a lot of secondary pitches.
Salvador wants this pitch up. And it's grounded to the right side. Sobris got a glove on it. But that's all. 2 more will score, and Cleveland has a 4-0 lead in the second inning.
Well, that ball that Duffy bounced up there moved Kipnis into scoring position at second base, and that little dribbler past Zobrist hurt Duffy, and it was the fastball, but it was out over the middle of the plate. It wasn't elevated exactly where Salvi wanted it. Good try on the dive to knock it down, but couldn't knock it down close enough to him to keep the second run from scoring. Trouble for Duffy with 2 outs.
Michael Brantley struck out swinging at a curveball in the first inning. Here's a good fastball. Jeremy Guthrie already going to work in the bottom of the second inning. 52 pitches with 2 down in the second. It'll pop up. Moustakas wants it. And that's the inning. 1 in the first and 3 in the second for the Indians in an early 4-0 lead. Royals have plenty of time to come back. Our University of Kansas hospital injury report. Carlos Gomez traded from the Brewers to the Astros to give them a late season push. He's going to miss the entire series at Texas. He has a little abdominal strain on the left side. It's not been a great year for Gomez. And the Astros going to their game tonight with the Rangers in second place. Texas had a walk-off victory last night on a sacrifice fly, so it's the Texas Rangers ahead by a half game over the Astros.
It's a pretty exciting finish. Got some of that.
Good start for the Royals. And Alex Rios has now hit safely in 7 straight games. He had a long home run last night in the Royals 2-0 victory. And for the second straight inning, the Royals have their leadoff man on.
Batting 9 for Kansas City, shortstop number 2.
It'd be interesting to see if Keuchel could shut the Rangers down tonight.
Looking at those standings, it's almost like it's upside down from what people predicted this year. Many predicted Houston and Texas at the bottom of the West, and teams like Seattle. A lot of people pick Seattle to break out and win the division. They're 6 games under 500. Oakland losing to the Royals in the wild card game last year. They are now 21 games below 500. And the Angels are just barely above 500. They're running out of time. They're 4 games out in the division and 3.5 games out in the wild card.
Yeah.
I think that's going over very well with their owner.
Nope. And we've already seen a couple casualties in the front offices. Jack Zduriencik let go by Seattle, and Jerry Dipoto resigned for the Angels. So those expectations weren't met and cost a few guys some jobs.
One and one on Escobar. And a ground ball to Aviles. He'll go to second, and then we'll get to Force.
Got to figure out a way to get this guy going, Escobar. Yeah. He just hit 150 over his last 20 games. Even if he's got to go back to his bunt. I mean, we haven't seen him get a bunt base hit in a long time. Just get on base. Get a little something going.
Salazar struck out Alex Gordon to begin the game. Got him with a changeup. Starts him off with a fastball. 0-1.
Boy, nice compact swing there. He's wondering how he missed that. Asking home plate umpire, was that a strike? Because that's borderline.
And now it's 0-2. I tell you, another thing that has really been non-existent lately has been the Royals' running game. The Royals have 1 stolen base in their last 13 games. And Alcides Escobar, who is normally a stolen base threat, he does have 14, and he's only been thrown out 5 times, but that is way down from what he has done the past few years for the Royals. It's been a while since the Royals have made a pitcher uncomfortable with their running game.
Yeah, we told you earlier in the game, base stealers have been successful just 3 out of 7 times against Salazar. But still, that's, you know, if you get a good opportunity, pick that change up, that ball that's moving down in the dirt, pick a good opportunity to go. Stir something up.
And teams have been doing a lot of that lately. It's almost like they're expecting the Royals to run. And Escobar there didn't have a threatening lead at first base. Remember all the throws that Tomlin made last night with runners with leads even smaller than the one that Escobar has. So they're expecting the Royals to run. Second time that Salazar has struck out Gordon. And that's 4 strikeouts for Salazar. 2 down in the 3rd inning. Let's go to Joel.
All right, guys. Well, we saw a great play last night from Ben Zobrist. And Hunt, I'm curious your take on this one, too. Of course, they weren't shifted quite as dramatically when you were playing. But Ben said that he's never really had to make a play like this before. He's had to be deep into right field at second base, maybe snaring a line drive and diving for one. But he said what made this one so difficult was the in-between hop. And he said at that point, all you really want to do is throw your glove at where you think it's going to go, hope that you get it. Once he did, then he had to hurry up and throw that rocket over there.
Yeah, I totally agree with all that, Joel, but I can also tell you that making a play like that in our day was non-existent. We were never out there. We never shifted. We would shift a couple steps to our left or right. Never would we go back. I mean, maybe on the outfield grass you might start, but never like Zobrist. So I'm not surprised that he hasn't made one like that either. That's a dramatic shift. That's going to fall.
Slicing away from Brantley. Escobar to 3rd. And is going to hold there. Zobrist has a double. The Royals have 2 in scoring position for Lorenzo Cain.
Take a page from Zobrist here. Facing Salazar, there's a fastball he caught, but he's going to the opposite field. We've seen Morales, Hosmer all attempting to go this way, but this is going to be the success way against Salazar. He's not going to give you too many cookies down the middle to pull out of the ballpark. So wait a tick longer, stay in the large part of the field. Especially goes for Lorenzo Cain here. Defense playing him straight up infield and a shade in the outfield to the opposite field. Time to find a hole and get a big hit. Get back in this game. Give Duffy a little bit of hope.
Outside for ball 1. Well, the Indians have a big hit tonight with 2 out and runner in scoring position. They've really struggled. The Royals have been the best in the major leagues, hitting .285 in situations like this. Good swing. 1 ball, 1 strike.
That was a very nice inside out swing. He's trying to use the large part.
Indians with a 4-0 lead, and they just scored 3 in the bottom of the second, and all 3 of those came with 2 outs. Out to Kipnis. So Salazar pitches around the single and the double. The Royals lead 2 in scoring position, and Cleveland leads 4-0. Order online with rapid pickup at delivery.panerabread.com. By Menards, save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. And by Ram Trucks, come in and get a great deal on the best trucks during Ram Truck Month. Danny Duffy still looking for his first scoreless inning. And his first inning under 20 pitches. That was number 54. As he pitches to Carlos Santana, then Yan Gomes, and then Chris Johnson. 2 balls and no strikes. Delayed call, 2-1. Francisco Lindor homered in the first inning, and then with 2 outs in the second, Kipnis singled in a run. Lindor singled in 2 runs. 3-1 on Santana. Leadoff walk.
Well, it looks to me like Danny is not convicted with his pitches. He looks like he's a little indecisive on what he wants to throw. He doesn't look real confident.
Dave Island gets on the phone, and for a second time in the last 2 innings, Jeremy Guthrie is going to warm up in the Royals bullpen. Gomes taking a big swing, 0-1. This will be Danny's 60th pitch. Duffy has good career numbers against the Indians, but not so good this year. Back on May the 6th, Danny went into the second inning, did not get an out. Gave up 6 hits and 4 runs, 45 pitches in an inning plus. And they're really making him work again tonight with 60 pitches in 2+ innings. Still 0-2.
But portion of that you mentioned, you got to give the Indians some credit for their selection, and they understand that Duffy can be wild at times. But I just think that Danny doesn't have the confidence. He's not showing it. And you know, with his tempo and the fact that looks like he's having a hard time being on the same page with Salvi.
One and two. That's part of the problem with Duffy lately in the high pitch count has been a high number of foul balls. It's not the only problem, but we've seen this play out on several occasions where Danny does a good job of getting ahead and continues to throw strikes. I'm going to give the hitter a little bit of credit, fouling off tough pitches, and this time Gomes goes down, so he didn't mess around with Gomes there. Stayed with mostly fastballs and gets his 3rd strikeout.
Yep. Outside of the Lindor solo home run, he's been hurt with the slider and his changeup. Slider looks like, you know, that's a pitch that was staying a little bit flat. That's nice there. See, he's staying on top, driving right down. That was a strikeout pitch. Nothing wrong with that motion there. That was good mechanics.
Johnson takes down an inning, grounded to 3rd in the 2nd inning. Good changeup. 1 ball, 1 strike.
That's nice rhythm there. Last 2 pitches have looked good. He knows Johnson's up there looking for that fastball. He swung on his first pitch last time up. That was a heater.
And now 1-2.
Double play wouldn't hurt. Duffy's induced 17 ground ball double plays. Last year was his career high with just 7. So this year he eclipsed that. He's done a good job. Maybe he can get one here.
Got the ground ball, but it's into center field. And the Indians have 2 on with 1 out.
Fastball down, and that's going to be it for Duffy. I saw Ned. He was sitting on that top step, just wondering, waiting to make sure that Guthrie was ready. It's another unfortunate start for Danny.
And I'm sure Ned is going to point to the number of pitches in a short period of time. It's almost 70 pitches in fewer than 3 innings. So you have the overall pitch count, and then you have pitch count per inning or innings, and that's a lot. Even though Danny clearly does not want to come out of the game. So Guthrie, the former Cleveland first-round pick, takes over with 2 on, 1 out in the 3rd. Out after 2 1/3 innings and 68 pitches. Well, if you want to ensure postseason tickets to the American League Division Series at Kauffman Stadium, placing a 2016 season ticket deposit will guarantee you the right to purchase tickets to every potential ALDS game at Kauffman Stadium. This is the final opportunity for fans that are not currently season ticket members. Ticket availability will go very fast, and for this last chance offer, contact the Royals at Royals.com. Jeremy Guthrie and Terry Francona makes a move. He sees an opportunity to really create some separation here, and instead of Jerry Sands, who had started in right field, Lonnie Chisenhall will bat against Guthrie with 2 on 1 out. Shallow left center field, and Alex got a good break. Chisenhall is out there, 2 down. 12 years ago, Jeremy Guthrie was the first-round pick of the Cleveland Indians. Make that 13 years ago out of Stanford, but did not pitch very long here and pitched mainly out of the bullpen. He made a name for himself with Baltimore. Abraham Almonte singled with 2 outs in the second inning and scored one of the 3 Indians runs in that inning. Up the middle, that leads Escobar right to the bag. So Guthrie comes on and makes 3 pitches and gets the final 2 outs of the bottom of the 3rd. Presented by Commerce Bank. That's Friday, January 29th and Saturday, January 30th at the Kansas City Convention Center. Players will be there signing autographs. Slugger will be making appearances. Lots of Royals merchandise and activities. Tickets at Royals.com/FanFest. Royals have had the leadoff man on in 2 innings. Haven't been able to turn that into a run. Eric Hosmer leads off for the 2nd time. He led off the 2nd with a walk, never got to second base. And then the Royals last inning had runners at 2nd and 3rd and 2 down, but Salazar got Lorenzo Cain to ground out, and that ball was just hit too hard. Stayed up for Brantley in left field, so Hosmer has another good swing in his career against Salazar, but this one's an out.
Yeah, that walk he got in the 1st inning, that's always good. He saw a lot of pitches there. He waited for the breaking ball. Looked like a slider that is out over. Perfect swing. Nothing you can do.
Fouled away by Kendrys Morales. Let's go back to Joel.
Well, Ryan, the players had a little bit of work to do today as they voted on the Players' Choice Awards. All the teams do that for awards within their league, and they tally up all those ballots released next month. And they voted on most outstanding player and pitcher, rookie, and comeback player of the year. I talked to some of the players about their votes, and a lot of mixed opinions, and some that'll even be voting for Lorenzo Cain. I didn't hear a lot of Josh Donaldson votes on that one, understandably, but I think he's going to get the votes with some other teams. Most guys seem to be behind Dallas Keuchel for pitcher. A lot of the guys saying Carlos Correa, Francisco Lindor for rookie. And then I think we're going to see a lot of votes from the Royals and hopefully other teams for this guy, Kendrys Morales. Perhaps others for Ryan Madson for comeback player of the year.
Well, who are some of the other candidates? Just trying to think offhand for comeback player of the year that would match Morales, who has driven in 101.
I'll be shocked if Prince Fielder doesn't get that award.
Well, I'm going to be shocked if Kendrys Morales doesn't get the award. You're right. That's going to be the big name. But does he have the 101 RBIs of Kendrys Morales? I do agree, though. Prince missed all of last year. But no one thought a whole lot about Kendrys Morales after his season last year when the Royals took a chance on him. And here he is, one of the best RBI guys in baseball.
Into center field. Morales is on with one out. And to answer your question, Joel, Prince Fielder has fewer than 90 runs driven in this year. Hasn't had a big home run season, at least for his standards. He has had a high batting average year, but with his neck surgery last year with the Rangers, he gave them very little, and now they're in first place.
Mark Teixeira would have been one, but he got injured. And now you can't give that award to Alex Rodriguez?
You can.
You can.
No, I'm not going to. I'm just wondering. I
don't think it's going to happen. I do think, Hud, it's a great point on Mark Teixeira, and even though he just got injured, I think he will get a lot of votes. I mean, there are a lot of great stories. I know we tend to look at the ones that are closest to us, but I still look at those numbers and see what Kendrys Morales has done in the middle of the lineup for a team with the best record in the American League. That's awfully impressive. And again, I should point out, Ryan Madson hadn't pitched in a few years, and he is right now one of the, 2 or 3 best relievers in this bullpen.
Let's keep our fingers crossed, and hopefully one of our guys gets out, even though
Almonte is back and makes the play. Salvador Perez flies to center, and with a 4-0 lead, Danny Salazar has pitched 4 scoreless innings. nonstop action, heart-pounding excitement, historic performances. Don't miss the 2015 postseason beginning October 6th. Go to MLB.com/postseason for a full schedule. Jeremy Guthrie made that final start of the postseason for the Royals. Tonight he comes out of the bullpen. Danny Duffy goes 2 1/3, and Guthrie got the last 2 outs in the 3rd. The fly ball and a ground ball, and now he gets Mike Aviles, Jason Kipnis, and Francisco Lindor. Two 2-0 on Aviles. He walked with 2 outs in the 2nd inning and scored one of the 3 runs for Cleveland in that inning. It was a swing. 2-1. Three and 1 to Aviles. Good pitch. 3 and 2.
2-seam fastball, 4-seam fastball, slider, curve, and a change.
Leadoff walk. 2nd straight inning that the Royals have given the Indians a leadoff walk. You know, this seems like a grab a mop appearance for Jeremy Guthrie, but he has been out of the starting rotation now for a few weeks. And this is an audition for him and trying to find a role on the postseason roster. You have a veteran who has pitched in the postseason. And as we learned last year in the postseason, or maybe I'll just speak for myself, Guthrie picks it up with his bare hand and makes a good throw to get Kipnis. He will get a sacrifice, and that moves Aviles up to 2nd base. I guess I wasn't paying close enough attention watching the postseason on my couch in previous years, but the importance of a starting pitcher, and I don't want to diminish the importance of a starting pitcher, but when you're never playing more than 3 days in a row, if a starter gets into trouble, I mean, if this were a postseason game tonight, I mean, Ned Yost might have gone to the bullpen even sooner, and you got to have guys who can pitch out of the bullpen in long relief, get up in a short period of time, and give you several innings. So long relievers really improve their importance once you get to the postseason compared to the regular season.
Well, there's no question about it. Now, there's no such thing as a meaningless game to any player, but for Guthrie, you're right. He wants to get out there and really impress by holding him right there. It's just the 4th inning. The Royals have plenty of time to come back in this game tonight, so this is a big spot for him.
And like a lot of relievers, and we've seen many convert from starter to reliever, that if you're only going to see the lineup once, you can really just take your pitching arsenal down to your 2 best pitches. You know, if he's trying to go 5 or 6 innings, he's got to work 3 or 4 pitches, but Guthrie can just come right at him with his best 2 because they're not going to get another look at him. Francisco Lindor has driven in 3. He's had a big year against the Royals. He has 4 RBIs in this series. He had 7 RBIs the last time the Royals faced the Indians. Started to trigger and did not go. 2 and 2.
Well, getting a chance to watch Lindor from both sides of the plate tonight as he homered off of Duffy his first time up. He's identical. He holds his hands down low. He's got him in a very comfortable position. He looks the same on both sides, and he's extremely confident. Talked about it last night with his good level swing. He's got a nice bottom hand. He doesn't try to pull all the pitches. He's geared towards the middle of the field. That's good for a guy who can hit for a high average.
And that's into center field, and Lindor has driven in 4 tonight. 4 of the 5 runs and 6 in the series. And now Cleveland leads 5-0. Leadoff walk turns into a run.
Yep, and there it is, the bottom hand. That pitch, he tried to stay inside of that ball and hit it right back up the middle. He wasn't interested in pulling it at all. He stayed right there in the middle. A lot of RBIs there. Very confident young player the Cleveland Indians have there for their shortstop.
Michael Brantley is 0 for 2. Quick throw over to first. Looked like Carlos Correa was just going to run away with the American League Rookie of the Year, and he may still do that. It's interesting. Look at the 3 candidates and the number of games that they played. The best 3 will be right around 90 games, or at least fewer than 100 games. Carlos Correa, Francisco Lindor, and Miguel Sano. And we have seen in the last 2 series between the Royals and the Indians why Francisco Lindor has been their #1 prospect the last 3 years.
Yeah, you know, I think a lot of organizations too are concerned about starting their big league clock too, so they waited a little bit into the season to get those guys up.
Out to Zobrist, out at second, and a double play. So the Indians have 5 runs in 4 innings, and surprisingly Brantley has nothing to do with it. The rookie Francisco Lindor does. He's driven in 4, and Cleveland leads 5-0. Bring the whole family out to the Kansas City Renaissance Festival. Experience the all-new zip line and daily craft beer tastings. It's open every weekend from now through October 18th, plus Columbus Day. Discount tickets and more available at kcrenfest.com. Alex Rios, Alcides Escobar, and Alex Gordon in the 5th inning against Danny Salazar. The Royals have had runners. They have left 4 in the first 4 innings. Rios also led off the 3rd, and he singled, so he's hit in 7 straight. Takes a fastball down the middle for strike 1. Rios, I just showed you the numbers. He's had a tough year against the Indians, but he hit an impressive home run last night up the left field line. They set the fireworks off, and we were having some fun with the fireworks operator, who is different tonight. And the other guy, he got a lot of national play. He was on some of the network morning shows.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you know, we were all sympathetic towards him. It wasn't like we were getting on him. Oh, man.
Even with that throw. Lindor with a great diving play and didn't get much on the throw, and about 17 bounces later he was still able to get Rios.
Well, quick release and great play. Putting on a clinic tonight. Both sides of the ball. This young man here, he's an energetic, talented young shortstop. Nice stretch there by Santana. Kind of helped him out. Didn't get a good grip. Could only throw from one knee down, but just got it. Excellent play.
And the Indians not only love his ability, but they love that smile. He has just given this team a burst of energy, big smile, has fun. We had mentioned that the Indians have traded away some veteran players and have really turned this team over to some younger veterans. And coincidence or otherwise, the Indians have played a lot better.
Yeah, they had their defense on the left side with those two young guys, Urshela and Lindor, really tightened up that defense with Kipnis over there at second base. They got a nice infield. I'm sure they'll add a few more in the offseason, a few more position players, but you have a pitching staff like that, Cleveland Indians, they're not going away. They have 5 good, solid pitchers. They've all met their mark this year for the most part. Trevor Bauer, they're trying to figure him out a little bit, but other than that, they got the makings of a good team in the future.
On the fringe of wild card contention, 2 years ago, the Indians won their last 10 games to earn a wild card spot and play it here at home. They ended up losing to Tampa Bay. It was Terry Francona's first year as Indians manager. So there's one of their postseason appearances. The Indians last year had a winning season. It didn't get them into the postseason. They were 85-77. Terry Francona, by the way, in his first year here, when they went to the wild card, he was the American League Manager of the Year. And many picked the Indians to be a surprise team in the Central this year and win the division. Some even picked them to go deep into the postseason. And they just never were able to recover from a slow start, especially here at home. Played very poorly at this ballpark. Still 3-2 on Escobar. Trickle foul.
Salazar's not going to mess around. 5-run lead, 3-2 count. He's just going to challenge Escobar. And Escobar with just 24 walks and 553 plate appearances coming into this game. He's not looking for the walk.
To Almonte in center field. 2 outs. Vote for the Royals Player of the Month at rallyhouse.com. You'll be entered to win a majestic prize pack from Rally House. Tough night so far for Alex against Salazar. Salazar has struck him out twice. Once with a changeup, once with a curveball. Like that breaking ball. 0-1.
You know, Salazar, he's working ahead on almost every hit. He's getting strike one on them, whether it's a swing or call. He's on top of his game. And when your team gives you that many runs of support early in the game, he's just on cruise control, executing his pitches, trying to focus on staying ahead of hitters.
One and two. Two and two. And working quickly, taking a little extra time in between the last pitch and this one. And his defense has made some nice plays behind him tonight. Full count.
See how Salazar is staying away from the fastball on certain hitters in the Royals lineup. Alex is one of them.
And that is Salazar's second walk tonight. He doesn't walk many for a power pitcher who strikes out a lot, and he strikes out more than one per inning pitch all year. For the most part, he stays in the strike zone, and now the Royals are third time through the order. That's when Salazar is most vulnerable. Gordon's at first base with two down. Ben Zobrist has a double tonight against Salazar. Talking about that 2013 season when the Indians won 10 in a row and got the wild card. Salazar was a rookie that year, and Terry Francona handed him the ball in that wild card game. He hadn't been to the postseason in several years. Salazar had not pitched a full season in the big leagues, but he was somewhat of an unknown commodity. He was pitching very well. And that's who got the start against Tampa Bay in the wild card.
Well, I'll tell you about the manager. He's confident in whoever's got the best stuff. Didn't really care too much about experience.
That was just his 11th major league game. Trouble throwing strikes to the last two hitters. 3-1 on Zobrist with Kane on deck. May have cracked his bat. 3 balls, 2 strikes. So the 10 regular season games and the wild card game in 2013, good ERA 3.12. So as you'd expect, the expectations were high for him last year, but he spent a big chunk of the season in the minor leagues and made just 20 starts, and this season has given the Indians what they were hoping for. 12 wins, earned run average about 3.5. striking out when this game started 176 in 161 innings. That'll be out of play.
Yeah, that's good for 8th best in the American League. Changeup is really his best out pitch, but he sets him up with that fastball. And you know, Dale Swain was telling me before the game, when they faced Salazar in May this year, he was topping at 98. So, you know, a little wear and tear of the season has him down, 93 to 95 now.
Gordon runs and Zobrist strikes out. Salazar has 5 in 5 scoreless innings.
He and his wife Jamie heard about a great charity, Alex's Lemonade, a few years back, supporting kids with cancer, and they have been very involved ever since.
I think it was 2011 is when I first started doing it, and kind of fell in love with it, and then it kind of ran after that, and every year I've been doing more and more, and it's been getting bigger and stronger as we've gone on.
And Alex, a perfect representative for Alex's Lemonade Stand. Not named after him, but he does have the name. He's so important in the community, having grown up not too far away in Lincoln. He and his wife Jamie, and now their 2 boys, Max and Sam, very involved, along with many of the other players' wives, in raising money and helping out every single year with Alex's Lemonade Stand.
I remember, Joel, a few years ago, Jamie had just gotten her master's, correct? And Alex wanted you to go in there and congratulate her. I think she was in a dugout suite. And I believe the exact words, Jamie said that Alex was going to get a little talking to for you putting her on the spot. But I believe her master's was in social work. So
I also believe that while he may have gotten a talking to, she has been on many, many times since and does very well as a spokeswoman for that organization and many of their charitable endeavors.
Yes, she does. Lorenzo Cain to the track to take care of Carlos Santana. First time he's been retired tonight. Jeremy Guthrie got the last 2 outs for Danny Duffy in the 3rd. He allowed a run in the 4th. Now gets the first out of the 5th.
Keeping you out of the middle of the plate saved a solo home run right there. Stayed in the large part of the field, just 400 straight away here at Progressive Field. Puts that in the middle of the plate there. That ball is going to be hit out of the park.
movement with that changeup. 0-1 to Gomes. Two on Yan Gomes. Different from Paulo Orlando, Yan Gomes left Brazil when he was 12 and moved to Florida, but he played a lot of baseball in Brazil. Thought he played about 6 or 7 years over there, and I said, well, you didn't learn from Japanese immigrants, did you? And he said, yes, I did. He thinks the same group of kids that taught Paulo Orlando how to play baseball, and not making that up. Japanese immigrants in Brazil bringing their love of the game to that South American country. That's where Yan Gomes started playing, learned from Japanese kids, and the same with Paulo Orlando. Paulo started later in life, not till his teens, but I figured Yan Gomes moved to the United States, maybe he picked up baseball once he got to Florida as a 12-year-old, but no, he said he played 5 or 6 years of baseball before moving to Florida. And that game is just blossoming over there, as you might imagine, with Gomes playing the way he is, Paulo Orlando, Andre Rienzo now pitching with the Florida Marlins.
They just got to find a way to put some fields out there. So the fields are kind of scarce there. Baseball fields.
Two and two on Chris Johnson. Son of former big leaguer Ron Johnson, who turned a major league career into a professional coaching career and started his professional coaching career in the Royals farm system.
And I believe that he's a AAA coach for the Pirates. I'm going to say the Pirates. Whoever's playing the Columbus Clippers in the championship, I think Columbus just eliminated them. So I was talking to Brad Mills earlier about Ron Johnson, his dad, and he said that he was the skipper for the AAA team that the Clippers just beat. I believe it's the Pirates.
Guthrie walks his second. The Royals have just had a tough time tonight putting together a 1-2-3 inning. You can keep up with the pennant races in true HD quality with MLB.tv. Watch every out-of-market game live in HD with the MLB.tv premium game of the day. It's the #1 live streaming sports service. Fouled away by Lonnie Chisenhall. It also includes real-time highlights, live look-ins, pitch tracking. MLB.tv for details. Chisenhall is a pinch hitter for Sands, fly to left in the 3rd inning, and that was when Guthrie came in. Ned Yost put Guthrie in the game. Terry Francona sent Chisenhall to the plate. Chisenhall has driven in 3 in this series and has looked pretty good in right field as he makes the transition from third base.
Well, when he had a little month or 2 stint down in the minors this year, Chisenhall, he told me yesterday that kind of woke him up a little bit. They asked him to play some outfield, and he said he would. And so he has the proper attitude. He went down there, he learned, he worked hard, and then he got his chance back up here again, and he's dazzled. He's shown them that open up their eyes for a possibility of a starting job next year out there. So it's all about the attitude. Your attitude can help you and it can hurt you. If you have a coachable attitude and you're willing to learn. Good pitch there.
Second strikeout for Guthrie. He has a scoreless. Bottom of the 5th inning. Cleveland leads 5-0. Thoroughbred Ford. For great deals on new Ford cars and trucks, visit thoroughbredford.com. Tough night for the Royals. Cleveland with 5 runs, doing all that in the first 4 innings. 4 runs charged to Danny Duffy, who went 2 1/3. Jeremy Guthrie has allowed 1 run. And the Royals have stranded 5 in 5 innings against Danny Salazar. Lorenzo Cain leads off our Sonic Slam inning. Our contestant is Christine Knighton from Independence, Missouri. If the Royals hit a home run in this inning, Christine wins $500. If the Royals hit a grand slam out of the park, they're back in the game. And Christine wins $25 grand from Sonic and the Kansas City Royals.
Let's give her 25 grand. How about that? Again, Salazar getting ahead. First pitch strikes.
Salazar has been in very little trouble tonight, but in the 3rd inning, he got Lorenzo Cain to ground out to second base. The Royals had runners at 2nd and 3rd with 2 outs in a then 4-0 game. And Salazar got out of that inning. Cain down on strikes. That's 6 for Danny Salazar.
Now batting for the Royals, number 35, Eric Hosmer.
All swinging. And now he'll get Eric Hosmer.
That offense, you know, they're going to have to try to figure out a little bit of chemistry as far as the walks go. I mean, a little bit more selective. And notice all 6 have been swinging. You know, just be a little bit more selective. Try to work the pitcher, get the pitch count up on the opponents, and look for your pitch. Trying to swing their way out of it.
One and 1 to Hosmer as we look at the DraftKings players to watch. And with Hosmer's career numbers against Salazar, that was a slam dunk. Go to DraftKings.com, enter the promo code BRoyal. Up to Kipnis at second base. Hosmer's 0 for 2. One of his outs was a line out to left. Salazar 1 out away from 6 scoreless innings. He has made 82 pitches. Morales has one of the 3 hits. He's got every pitch working tonight. Well hit to right field, but enough in on the hands for Chisenhall to fade back and make the play. So he just got it in enough. Morales couldn't extend his arms. And that's 6 scoreless innings for Salazar. And the Tigers in a game you can only see on FS1. Coverage begins at 11:30 a.m. on Fox and 6 p.m. on Fox Sports 1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. So for the rest of this road trip, tomorrow night on Fox Sports Kansas City, Friday night on Fox Sports Kansas City, Saturday night on Fox Sports 1. Aaron Goldschmidt and Tom Verducci will have the call Saturday night. And then back on Fox Sports Kansas City Sunday afternoon. 1 pitch, 1 away as Guthrie gets Almonte to ground out to Zobrist. Almonte is 1 for 3 tonight. This is Guthrie's 3rd full inning. Got the last 2 outs for Duffy in the 3rd. Allowed a run in the 4th, no runs in the 5th, and now 1 pitch, 1 away in the 6th.
Yeah, Jeremy looks good. He's executing his pitches. He's got good stuff, movement going down. His 2-seam sinking fastballs working nicely. His changeup's working pretty good. That's down in the zone. That's where we want to be. He's only giving up 1 run.
Fair ball. This will be the 3rd time that Mike Aviles has been on base. He's going to try for 2 against Gordon. He is safe, hitting around the tag.
Heck of a play by Alex Gordon. It's amazing how quickly he gets that ball in. That ball's a double right over the bag. Now Alex busts it over there, gets to it, doesn't take any time at all, gets it from glove to hand so quick, and then he puts a laser throw on there, and Aviles slid to the outside corner of the base, and had he not, and he slid right into the front part of the base, he would have likely been out. Great effort there by Alex. And again, Lonnie Chisenhall was telling me about that play right there about Alex, how quickly he gets that ball and transfers it and gets the ball into the infield. Now as Chisenhall is trying to become an Alex Gordon in right field.
Well, as you pointed out a couple of nights ago, an infielder going to the outfield is probably going to be very accurate with his throws because he's used to throwing to a much smaller target. Kipnis Rolls it over to Zobrist. I'll have Dave Holtzman confirm this for me, but I believe the top 3 seasons for an outfielder when it comes to assists in Royals history include 2 former infielders, Alex Gordon and Martin. Martin in his first year moving from the infield to the outfield had a lot of assists, and I think Jermaine Dye is also on that list. But 2 guys who are used to quicker footwork, used to getting rid of the ball quicker, and rather than throwing to an area like an outfielder does toward the cutoff man, they have to be more precise with their target. They're used to a much smaller room for error.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. It's an advantage. Now, you can't be an outfielder your whole life and then become an infielder. It's just too hard. It's you know, you have to have that gift of good feet, good hands, and a good arm. But infielders can make outfielders, that's for sure. See if Guthrie can get Lindor out. He's got him down 0-2.
He is responsible for our Dodge drives of the game. He has driven in 4 already.
Right side of the plate, hands down low, same exact way on the left side. You can put that in the seats. Went to the opposite field early.
Tough to strike out. We told the story the last time we played the Indians. Lindor used to play a backyard game with his dad. It was called 3-2. The count was always 3-2. You'd either get a hit or at least put the ball in play or take a walk. If he struck out, he had to run laps. And then he'd have his next 3-2 count.
That's a pretty good game.
By the way, for the record, Holtze looked it up. Jeff Francoeur is also among the list. So Gordon, Francoeur, Tien, and Dye, 4 best years with outfield assists. So 2 natural outfielders and 2 infielders that turned into outfielders. Hold foul. Born and raised in Puerto Rico, Francisco Lindor, and then moved to the United States when he was a teenager and finished out his high school years here. So he was drafted by the Indians, taken in the first round, 2011.
Well, he is battling Guthrie right now. He's never had a 5 RBI game, and 90 feet away is that 5th sitting there for him. He's making it tough on Guthrie.
And he struck him out. Off speed down. So Lindor is out for the first time. He doesn't drive in a run for the first time. And the Indians are scoreless in the 6th. Internet, the U-verse revolves around you. Call 1-800-PIC-ATT. By your Midwest Ford dealers. Visit your MidwestFordDealers.com. And by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Right stuff, low price every day. House of Blues. Who was it? House of Blues last night, Holtzen. Bunny and the Echo Men are there tonight, but who was there last night? Stone Temple Pilots were there last night when we were walking by. Yeah. 2-0 on Mike Moustakas. He is 0 for 2 against Danny Salazar.
Watching Moose take batting practice today, he was hitting almost every ball to the left field side. And the Indians are convinced he's going to pull the ball on the ground.
Which is a little bit of a surprise against a guy like Salazar, who's throwing in the mid-90s. I mean, that's the kind of guy that Moustakas just reaches out and hits the ball to left field against. 3-1.
This never gets old. This hits by direction we're going to show you. I mean, this is the way Moose has made drastic improvements. Thought he had a walk there. Moose is saying it's up, and I believe he was right. Ben Mays had a pretty good strike zone tonight, but there's a spray chart. Look at that. That's the complete hitter that Moose always believed he could become.
Deep center field. Almonte to the wall. Gone, and the Royals are on the board. So it's a good thing that Ben May called that pitch a strike. Mike Moustakas hits his 19th of the year. It is now 5-1. Do you thank the umpire when you cross home plate?
No, just like that ball that was lost in the twilight last night. Moose gets another chance, and this one was grooved, and he said, all right, I'm going to put a nice easy pass on it. That's exactly where that ball should have been hit. Good swing.
Now Mickey Callaway, Indians pitching coach, goes out to check on Salazar, but this may have more to do with the Indians getting their bullpen started, and Jeff Manship begins to throw. As promised earlier in the game, we have selected the Data Strong fan photo of the game. Tweet your strongest fan photo to hashtag KC Data Strong Fan for a chance to have it featured in an upcoming broadcast. Thank you to Patrick. We've got a nice picture with Eric Hosmer at the Diamond of Dreams event. Looks like it. Brought to you by T-Mobile. Salvador Perez is 0 for 2. He lost a hit on a diving stop by Aviles at third in the second inning.
Well, before the season started, and we talked about this a few games ago with Mike Moustakas. In 2012, we had 20 homers, 73 RBIs. At the beginning of the season, I looked at that. Some other guys looked at that and said, wow, if Moose could just repeat those power numbers, he'll have done his part and more. But, you know, that season he hit just 242. And now coming into tonight, he's hitting 282.
And 1 home run and 1 RBI away from those numbers.
Right. So, you know, Moose, man, you know, we talked about comeback players, but as far as batting average goes and using the whole field like we always knew he could, you know, we kept begging him to go to left field last year. He's done it. He's not finished.
Aviles throws out Perez for a second time. Well, and earlier in the year when Mike Moustakas was batting second, it appeared that he was not going to do much with those power numbers, driving in runs, and his job was going to be to get on base. He was getting a lot of hits, but mostly singles and some doubles. But over time, he's been spreading the ball to all fields, and he's got his power game back.
Yeah, and I think that's what it took. I think that was a really good move by Ned early in the season to put Moose in the 2-hole, and it changed his game around. He said, you know, if I'm going to hit in the top of the order, I got to get on base and score more runs. I'm not going to drive him in as much. So it really helped him with his mindset. And then the success he had, dropping a few bunts down and lacing those balls to left field, that really helped him a lot. And then when Zobrist got here, and when he got bumped to the 6th hole, he struggled a little bit for a couple of weeks trying to figure out, you know, what kind of hitter am I going to be? Don't change a thing, Dale Swain told him. Be the same guy, same hitter. And by going to the opposite field, he's recognizing pitches in, and he's driving them over the fence now.
Rios flies out to Chisenhall, 2 down. Rios is 1 for 3. Well, Mike Moustakas in his last 22 games has 8 home runs and 28 RBIs.
Man, that is smoking. It's nice to see 1 or 2 guys hot in that lineup. Get 3 or 4 of them going here. Dale's been talking about seeing the ball up, trying to be a little bit more patient.
Escobar is 0 for 2. Now he's the opposite of Moustakas. He has really cooled off. In his last 20 games, he's batting right around 140 with 3 runs scored. Two and 1. 100 pitches for Salazar. So far only 1 20-pitch inning. 26 in the 5th. The Royals did not score in that 5th inning. Escobar almost looks like he is taking a full swing, like he is cutting his swing off to compensate for something, doesn't it?
Yeah, but for the longest time he's been over swinging, trying to get it all back in one swing. We talked about that sometimes with Hosmer going through it, but you know, anything hit like that out in the air, it's an out. He doesn't have the power for that. He wants to continue to focus down and try to find those hits on the ground.
The Royals get their first run against Salazar with the Moustakas home run.
Toronto all over Atlanta. This one is a shocker. The Rangers are blasting Houston with Dallas Keuchel on the hill. And Detroit and Minnesota, they had a delay, so just getting started. Our Mazda game break right now is going to take a look at Corey Kluber, guy that really owned the Royals last year, but he started against them 4 times this year and has a 4.34 ERA. So the good news is he lost his first 3 to the Royals, giving up 4, 5, and 4 earned runs. The last time, though, he went 9 innings and gave up 1 run. So the Royals will have their hands full tomorrow. So, too, will the Indians with Yordan Ventura on the hill. Coming up after this game, we'll talk more about Yordan Ventura tomorrow. Also talk about Danny Duffy with Jeff Montgomery, Jeremy Guthrie, both of their nights. And we'll hear from Ned Yost and reaction coming up after this game on Boulevard Royals Live.
Thank you, Joel. Look forward to that. What? I do.
I'm looking forward to it too. I think.
What was that little Pinocchio thing you were doing?
Well, I was just thinking, you know, this is.
Did that seem insincere the way that I said it?
No, it did. I just was, you know, because Joel was leaving. We were all laughing at each other. I figured you were tongue in cheek in that. My bad on the read. I like listening.
Well, maybe
to
you know what? Maybe I was. You know, you're the body language guy.
Well,
did I have sarcastic body language when I said that?
No, but when we win, they include us in their show, and you know, that's what I'm hoping you were thinking, because they still got time to come back.
Got to hold them right here. Brantley, Santana, and Gomes, middle of the order, and Brantley out to right field. Rios to the track to bring it down. You know, I just said that, middle of the order, Brantley, Santana, and Gomes. And while the Indians have been playing well lately, and they've played well in the series against the Royals, it's easy to look at them and say they've got a lot of pieces in place to turn this thing around very quickly, but they feel like they like the Brantley part, but when you get to the middle of the order, they feel like they need to do better than Brantley, Santana, and Gomes. Nothing against Santana and Gomes, but they feel, the Indians do, if they're going to take that next step, if Santana's here, that both he and Gomes need to be lower in the order, and Terry Francona needs a couple more bats in the middle of the order.
They'll be out looking, believe me. Then those aren't easy to find either.
Well, the Royals went out and they got 101 RBIs this past offseason for the middle of their order. Eric Hosmer has a career high in RBIs. Mike Moustakas is on his way to that. Brian Shaw warms up as Salazar is up over 100 pitches. Santana walks. It's the second time that he has walked tonight, and it's the 5th time that he has walked in the series. Santana leads the American League in walks. He has 97. And now Yan Gomes, 0 for 3, 2 strikeouts. One of those strikeouts is against Guthrie. Guthrie's been in there since the 3rd inning. Santana runs, and that stolen base was against Guthrie. Perez really had no chance. Santana got a big jump, and then that pitch was down in the dirt.
It's his 11th bag. It's been caught just once. Great job. I mean, Salvi could have put that in his pocket.
3-0. 66 pitches for Guthrie. Three and one on Gomes. Guthrie has not thrown this many pitches in almost a month. He threw 111 pitches at Cincinnati on August the 19th. Full count on Gomes.
He's doing a nice job. He's only given up one.
Strike three called. So Guthrie comes back from 3-0 to get Yan Gomes, and Gomes has struck out 3 times tonight.
Oh, man, that was a perfectly executed two-seam fastball. Starts away. Gomes said, you know what, that's ball 4. And with that liberal strike zone by Ben May, you know, he's calling a lot of strikes tonight. Gomes got to go.
Two down to Chris Johnson. Good breaking ball in for a strike. You're right, he's had a good strike zone tonight.
Yeah, and you know what? Guthrie's stuff hadn't looked better all year to me than it is. I think he's not overthrowing. I think the whole thing is he's just trying to throw strikes, but his pitches are moving more. He's got better life to him because he's not overthrowing.
Well, it would appear, and there's still 2.5 weeks to play, but it would appear that if Johnny Cueto can fix himself, that you're looking at Cueto, Volquez, Ventura as your 3 starting pitchers, Duffy and Medlin going for that 4th spot. And then what do the Royals do with their middle relief? Jeremy Guthrie, if this is an audition, he has done well. 4 2/3 innings out of the pen, and he's allowed just 1 run.
Here you go, Jay Guts.
Against Danny Salazar. Here are the sprint cuts of the game.
Yep, Salazar in command the whole way. Secondary pitches, which are his changeup, slider, have been excellent. He didn't use very many curveballs, and he selected and picked his spots for his fastball. But look at the location. He was all over it. There's no doubt about it. Nice to see him out of the game after 102 pitches. Just gave up 4 hits. Excellent job.
So let's see what the Royals can do against the Indians bullpen. They saw Brian Shaw for 1/3 of an inning on Monday night, and And the Royals got 2 infield RBI hits against Brian Shaw. Both Alex Gordon and Ben Zobrist with swinging little dribblers up the third base side to drive in runs. The Royals at that point were back in the game, down by 1, only to watch the Indians score 4 runs in the last 2 innings. And here's Alex Gordon leading off. Alex tonight has struck out twice, and he has walked.
Good to see some cutters up in the zone. 90 to 95. Slider, curve. Goes across his body. He's a little bit deceptive to right-handers. But in his outing a couple nights ago, he was up with a lot of pitches. See if the Royals can jump on him. Get a rally going here.
3-0. Three balls, 1 strike. And that's pretty much what you're going to see from Shaw. He's that one pitch, one after another. It's not the same caliber as, say, Mariano Rivera's, who is maybe the best in the history of baseball, but the story is the same. Pitchers, if you get to the ballpark early enough, they're in the outfield, they're playing catch with one another. And they're always experimenting with grips, and teammates are saying, well, this is how I throw my cutter, or this is how I throw my sinker, and just trying different grips. And that's how Shaw found his cutter, just playing catch during instructional league in the Diamondbacks organization. And that cutter strikes out Alex Gordon, and Alex has 3 strikeouts tonight. And Shaw comes back after falling behind 3-0. Big 12 football this Saturday on Fox Sports Kansas City. 2-0 K-State takes on Louisiana Tech in Manhattan. You can see it right here on Fox Sports Kansas City. That's Saturday at 2 p.m. Cutter for a strike.
Yeah, too bad Alex couldn't have got on base there. Man, had a 3-0 count. Thought maybe he was going to be able to get his second walk of the night. Shaw, give him credit, came back, kept the ball down. Used his slider to get him out.
Two and one on Zobrist. He is 1 for 3 with a double tonight. Well, as I said, it may not be one of the elite cutters in the game, but it's pretty good when the hitter knows that it's coming just about every pitch. And still can't do much with it. Jabba Chamberlain is getting ready for the bottom of the 8th inning. Three and 2. Face Mariano Rivera?
No. Kidding me? I rarely saw a closer. My neck hurt so bad I was on the on-deck circle, kept looking back at the manager because they knew they were going to pinch hit for me.
Still 3 and 2. But people forget his first 2 or 3 years in the big leagues, he didn't have that cutter. He was just a reach back, high 90s, throw it by you type of a guy. And playing catch in the outfield one day, he stumbled upon that grip, and not only did it become one of the best pitches probably in baseball history, but he got more contact because of it. His pitch count went down. He got to pitch more often because of it.
It became a Hall of Fame pitch. Hey, there's a walk.
1 on, 1 out. Let's take a Mazda game break and go out to Target Field in Minneapolis. Irvin Santana is pitching for Minnesota. That is Tyler Collins. Hitting it down into the right field corner. Driving in Anthony Gose. Driving in, who is that man? Is that Nick Castellanos? Ian Kinsler? Anyway, 2-0 Detroit. In the top of the second inning, the Tigers beat Minnesota last night, getting the Royals lead back to 10 games in the Central. The two teams that the Royals and the fans have been keeping a close eye on. Minnesota to clinch the division. The Royals magic number is 9, and then hoping for home field advantage throughout the playoffs, keeping an eye on Toronto, and Toronto leads Atlanta 7-1 in the bottom of the 7th inning. Into the right field corner and foul. 0-2 on Lorenzo Cain. Toronto lost. The Royals won last night, so the Royals lead at the moment is 3 over the Blue Jays for best record. And with Ned Yost and many Royals winning the All-Star game, the Royals finished with the best record. They will have home field advantage as long as they are playing throughout the American League playoffs and into the World Series.
That would be extremely large.
Cain down on strikes. A little different tilt to that pitch from Shaw, more of a curveball, and he gets his second strikeout of the inning.
Yeah, he's got that curveball. That's exactly what that was, especially throw after cutter, and then he mixes in that one. That's a fooler. Got him.
And now Eric Hosmer, who walked back in the second inning. Down on strikes. Shaw strikes out the side, also gives up a walk. And we head to the bottom of the 8th inning. A frustrating night for the Royals. Down 5-1. 14th annual Roberto Clemente Day, established by Major League Baseball to honor Clemente's legacy. And we're not talking about on the field, which was spectacular. Hall of Famer, 15-time All-Star, but known just as much for what he did away from the field as he did on the field. He finished his career with exactly 3,000 hits. And the season after that, New Year's Eve, 1972, the great philanthropist that he was on a small aircraft traveling to Nicaragua to deliver supplies to earthquake victims. The plane crashed. Clemente finished his career, 3,000 hits, 1,300 RBIs, 240 home runs. Not to mention all the Gold Glove. He was a fantastic outfielder.
Yeah, amazing. What a human being. And to have 3,000 hits on the nose, wow. Baseball world really misses him, but I'm glad his legacy lives on.
And in the spirit of Roberto Clemente, all 30 teams have a Roberto Clemente nominee for their work in the community. Lonnie Chisenhall with a swinging bunt to the third base side. All Moustakas can do is pick it up. Chisenhall is on against Chamberlain in the 8th inning. But on Roberto Clemente Day, presented by Chevrolet, all 30 teams have a Roberto Clemente nominee. Alex Gordon is the Royals. It's not the first time Alex has been the Clemente nominee. And for the Indians, Carlos Carrasco, who beat the Royals on Monday. Torrey Hunter for Minnesota. Looking at some of the guys that are known for their community work. Andrew McCutchen with the Pirates. Adrian Beltre with the Rangers. So each team has a nominee, and then during the World Series, one of the 30 nominees wins the Roberto Clemente Award.
Just being nominated is a great feat. I mean, Jeff Montgomery. Monty was talking about when he was nominated, he was thrilled just to be mentioned with Roberto Clemente.
Chamberlain is on for the first time since Friday, and that was that fateful 10-run 8th inning in Baltimore when the Orioles hit 2 grand slams. Here he gets a ground ball. Zobrist to Escobar. Escobar to Hosmer, and you rarely see it happen. A ball gets past Hosmer. The Royals get the out at second base, and Almonte will be at first with 1 down.
Yeah, nice play by Zobrist on the ball that jumped up on him. Escobar had an easy throw, and Haas just missed it. I mean, that is rare. See that? Let's see.
Did it even hit the dirt first?
This angle here.
Yeah. And now Mike Aviles, who's working on a perfect night.
Yeah, you know, Escobar and the guys on the left side. Hey, look, that's on me, man. My bad.
Especially with all the ones that he does pull out of the dirt.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't you sweat that for 1 second is probably what Alcides Escobar meant with that gesture. Chamberlain gave up the grand slam to Steve Clevenger earlier in the inning. Kelvin Herrera gave up a grand slam to Nolan Reimold in that 10-run 8th inning. 1-1 on Aviles. 2-1. Jabba Chamberlain made 30 appearances for the Tigers this year. Was in the Blue Jays organization briefly, and then made 8 appearances for AAA Omaha, where he was able to be close to home. What a thrill for the Omaha Storm Chasers to have both Jabba Chamberlain and Alex Gordon, Nebraska natives and University of Nebraska stars, playing for them at the same time.
Well, Jabba adds an experienced arm in their bullpen. It's always good to have an extra arm or 2 or 3 this time of the year, September.
Almonte runs, and the throw ends up in center field. Almonte loses his helmet, and he will go into third, round third, and hold. Stolen bases in back-to-back innings for the Indians. And Almonte will go to third on an error by Salvador Perez.
It's just Salvi's 3rd error of the year. Yeah, ball got there at the same time as the runner. Esky couldn't get his glove out there in front of it.
Royals have the infield in, down by 4 in the bottom of the 8th. Mike Aviles, the Royals' 7th round pick in 2003 out of Division II Concordia College in New York, and that year he was the Division II Player of the Year. And his baseball story is one of just having to prove people wrong. He got no Division I offers out of high school, so he went on to Division II, dominated. He was the Royals minor league player of the year in 2007, but the Royals did not put him on the 40-man roster, so he was available to any team. Nobody took Aviles, and the next year he was the Royals major league player of the year. Chamberlain strikes him out with a runner at third, 1 down. It's Jabba's first.
Yeah, Aviles has done a nice job in his 7th year in the big leagues already. You know, he's going to be pushing hard to try to get his 10 in. He's had a good game and a nice play in that first inning for Salazar. Ball down the line.
Now the infield moves back to their normal depth. Jason Kipnis with Almonte at third, 2 down, and he takes a strike. Indians scored 3 of their 4 runs in the first 2 innings, and they had 5 runs by the 4th inning. Kipnis has driven in 1 of the runs with an RBI single in the 2nd.
Good stop by Salvi.
Strike 1 and 2. Kipnis didn't like it. Remember when we were talking earlier about Alex Gordon and Mark Teahan and Lonnie Chisenhall going from the infield to the outfield?
Yeah.
This is a very rare player here. Now he did it from college to the minor leagues, but Kipnis was a college outfielder and the Indians made him an infielder.
That's rare.
strike 3 with a fastball. So Java Chamberlain gets into trouble with a runner at third, 1 out, but he gets back-to-back strikeouts. Last call for the Royals. They'll face Cody Allen, down by 4 in the 9th inning. In 34 tries, comes on in a non-save situation tonight. You'll get Kendrys Morales, Mike Moustakas, and Salvador Perez. Royals have 1 run tonight. That was a Mike Moustakas home run leading off the 7th inning against Danny Salazar. And the Royals have gone face first into really 3 good starting performances by the Indians. Carlos Carrasco gave up 1 run in 6 innings on Monday. Cleveland won that game 8-3. Now the Royals won last night 2-0, but Josh Tomlin went 9 innings, gave up 2 runs, and now tonight Danny Salazar goes 7 innings and gives up 1 run.
Yep, they're continuing to win here at home.
Ketchup is celebrating a little bit prematurely. We'll see. It's usually bad luck.
Allen's going to challenge him with the fastballs. Fastball power curve. Royals hope to catch up.
Morales singled in the 4th inning. He flied out to the warning track in the 6th. Three-pitch strikeout. And another big strikeout night for the Indians. If you combine Salazar, Shaw, and Allen, that is the Indians' 10th strikeout.
Beauty. That's that curve after that fastball. It really can throw the hitter off balance.
Mike Moustakas with 1 down. Last time up, he was at the plate and thought he had taken ball 4. He was on his way to first base. Ben May, the home plate umpire, called it a strike. Moustakas more than once said, nope, that pitch is up. You're wrong. But he saw another pitch and promptly hit it into center field for his 19th home run of the year. And that's hit hard out to Kipnis in shallow right field. And there are 2 down in the 9th inning. Cleveland Indians are trying to get back to 500 as they hang on to their wild card lives. And the Royals are trying to avoid their 9th loss in their last 12 games. Sal is 0 for 3. And the Royals are still breathing. Salvador Perez goes to the wall in left center field. And that is just the 5th hit tonight for the Royals.
Royals can just keep their head up and continue to press, push, not press as much as it is, stay aggressive off of Kluber, because Kluber's a fastball guy. He's going to really come out in his 7% fastball. So get a good start from Yordan Ventura and have a chance to split the series.
No, there are many ways to win a ball game, but the best way is to get a good outing from your starting pitcher, and that's what's happened in this series. The team that has had the better starting performance has won. And now the Royals are down to their last strike. Rios continues to show signs, and he is getting it back. A hit tonight gives him a 7-game hitting streak. He's also hit the ball hard for one of his outs. One and 2. Lost a base hit, a potential second base hit in the 5th inning. A diving stop by the shortstop Lindor. Indians take a 2-1 advantage in the series. Francisco Lindor, he drove in 7 runs in the series before this one with the Royals, and now he's driven in 5 in this series. In the first 3 games, he drove in 4 of the 5 tonight, and the Indians beat the Royals 5-1.
Got to find a way to shut that young man down, because he's been really impressive both sides of the plate. Man, oh man, they found him a keeper at short.
So the Royals have lost 9 of 12. The Indians have won 23 of their last 35 to get back to 500. We'll be right back.